Well, today is Monday. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I thought today I'd get on here and make this simple and quick, if I can. You know, I've been following the scenario in Otter Creek for way too long. And the rudeness, the despicable behavior, the reasoning. I'm afraid that it has an influence on anyone who follows it too long, and that includes myself. But the simple terms of this whole thing is that there is a group of people out there that to get their way in this thing, they would starve the family to save the child. And the child is part of the family. So I'm trying to figure out how you can justify the means that you go about to rid what you consider evil and wrongdoing by attacking the entire family when this child is part of the family. And the other part of it is the turtle sanctuary that always gets mentioned, and the things it took to put it together and maintain it. You would starve those animals to the very end to prove your point and cut off all supplies, if possible, that it takes to keep them alive. That includes the monetary and the physical things that it takes. The hate is so real that it's hard to watch the reasoning behind it. I'm not sure why everyone out there, opinions don't count anymore in this battle for some reason. A person is allowed to talk outside of the group they've joined. And quite frankly, I don't want to be putting up videos about this subject anymore, regardless. People probably think I'm one of the worst people on earth because of how I feel about how people go about the business of getting their point across. And I've told people from the very beginning, it doesn't matter what I think about if a person's right or wrong in their pursuit. It's in how they do it that bothers me the most. And it's still that way to this day. You know, I was brought up to try to help and not tear people apart. And to walk away from bad people, if at all possible. I learned that at a very early age. And I guess the older you get, the more you go back to when you were a child. At least they tell me that everyone will regress to a childish state, if you will, as you're on your way out of this life on this earth. And that may be a true statement because the innocence of a child has more wisdom than any adult out there. And in this instance, I feel that is so true. So for all those out there that hate, that can't see the light of the Lord, that believe it's better to starve an entire family out than help those that are needy within that family. You know, there is a group out there that have started funding and actually doing things right now for that one little child. And now that the biggest hit has been by bringing a child into the focus into these things. It draws a bigger crowd. More passions are stirred. And yet, we bring another child in there and use that child as a focus. Doesn't matter what the reality is, only what the story will accept, what can be spread. And those of us that can only guess, we're not the experts. We have an opinion, you and I. They may not be the same. I don't know. My reasoning to get involved in this in the first place was it just happened to it made a big splash out there in a small world, and my curiosity got the best of me. And my good sense is going to make me say, no more videos out there. Because I can't see as where I'm helping anything. If anything, I'm as much a part of stirring the pot as anybody out there. My opinions seem to be complete opposite of those that would destroy the entire family. But my only intent is to see that the goodness that can come out of it is be done. I do it as yes I feel that the Lord would ask me to do. I don't know how else to put it to you people. You believe in scorching the earth to get your way, and that's just not the way to do it. That's not what the Lord asked us to do. If you go to your heart and ask how Christ would do it, how he would be among the people, and the advice he would give, maybe you could come out and see a little bit different way of solving this problem. I don't know. I have no ill intent against anybody out there. I certainly wish only the best for the children that are involved and have somehow become entwined into this despicable story. And bring out the worst qualities in the nature of humans that is imaginable. We all have a part in this story now. We've all put our 2 cents worth in. Doesn't mount to a hill of beans. Some are searching for some way to smash and hurt. And they'll do anything to guide the narrative into their little story, weave it in so it makes sense. I would ask you again, do you really think you're going to help that child by starving the family when she's part of the family? What have you really done for the child in her behalf? There is a group out there that has started an extremely active campaign to make sure that happiness is brought to that person, to that little girl. Yet none of you can see it. That are trying to destroy this entire thing. Well, life sucks for you. Now, I plan on following 2 leads in a pod because I think they have the heart to try to follow this through. They certainly are very good about finding the documentation. They've talked to different people and brought things to light that I hadn't seen before. I think their heart is in the right place because they believe in the innocence and bringing that forth for this poor little girl. And I'm sure they feel bad for the other girl that was drawn into this thing. by a parent that knew what to expect, used his grifting skills to extract monetary rewards for himself, and now the people that joined this guy have attacked him because he got caught. And their way of distancing their association with him is to attack his obvious faults. Bravo to all of you guys and girls. Yeah, I can't believe that you were drawn in so tightly that you wove him into the basket of hate. And now you're trying to relieve your conscience by telling everybody how much you hate this person and what he needs to do to right himself. And yet you were the ones that made a hero out of him. Like I say, you would do anything to starve the family, and yet this girl is part of the family. It don't make sense to me. And maybe you have your own reasoning for doing it. It's called scorching the earth to stop the enemy. If that's your mentality, I feel bad for you. Well, don't expect me to put up a bunch of videos to add to your storyline. I just think that I'm going to follow the consciousness that the Lord gives me. But I'm also thinking that Dr. Phil was 100% correct. You cannot change a narcissist. You can only feed the ego and his manifest by sticking around. Count me out. I'm not going to stick around to feed such a despicable display of human hatred that they would destroy everything to get their way across. I hope your conscience will guide you in a direction so that some goodness can be realized out of the whole thing. But Dr. Phil was right. There is no changing. There's the only thing you do by being a part of this is you make that particular narcissist stronger and much better equipped to fight his battles for him. And with that, I bid you goodbye.